Greetings, Star Trek Fleet Commanders. I am the Angry Rhino. Update 55, Voyager Part 2, has been released. Very new information. Will take some time to test it out and fully understand it, because it is not necessarily game breaking, but it is, in my opinion, a big change. And I don't know if I'm happy about it. Initial thoughts is I hate it. Try not to yell and scream and cuss people out in this video, but I do feel a what was you thinking coming on, where I'll just sit here and cuss people out because it makes me feel better. Okay, so Voyager Part 2. Yay, USS Voyager ship. Okay. No, it is not free to play like the Vidar A was. Early estimates is 100 days. Get into procurement of the ship in a bit. New type of damage. Isolytic damage. Yeah. Probably seen this in your battle logs already. New part of the Delta Quadrant added. New officers and more. Okay, about the Voyager. This is a little bit of background information. One of these ship abilities, yes, one of, there are 3 in total, deals extra damage to Delta Quadrant hostiles. Or deals damage to hostiles marked with the DQ tag in Delta Quadrant space. So take that for what that means. Okay. 2 new activated abilities. Certain hostiles in the Delta Quadrant for this new loop, because yes, new ship, new loop, will need to be revealed. So think about it as a Cerrito buff. I'm not saying you need to bring your Cerrito, I'm just trying to explain how I understand it. You press the button, you get a little invisibility reveal, and the hostiles that you couldn't see, you can now see. And like the Cerrito buff, it has a time limit and a cooldown and a new currency to activate it. Yay. Okay. There are Hirogen Hunter Elites. Kill them to collect Hirogen relics. The relics can be a change for deuterium canisters, which fuel both Voyager's active abilities. Oh, let me get to the other active ability first. Scrolled too far. Astrometrics scan. This is where a lot of swearing is going to come in for me. Hopefully not this video, but press the button, scan a ship, or somehow activate it on the player ship. I assume maybe like the Mantis. Little red button below when you select a player's ship. And it will give you the coordinates to their base. Now, do you have to be in the same system? I don't know. We're going to find that out later. But I don't I'm not worried about them finding my base and then hitting my base. I'm okay with that. I've been talking to you a lot about base defense. No, this is not why. I did not have foreknowledge into this. But I'm more concerned with more grindy loops. Not that there weren't already in there to begin with. Ship parts, Borg probes, Actium shit, Stella security codes, Stella Armada loot, what other goddamn stupid garbage there is. Now, instead of players having to go find you in these systems that you're grinding, they just scan your ship and just hit you when you're returning to your base. So somebody else in the alliance can do that for them. Player A goes and scans your ship, sees where your location is, and then puts it in an alliance chat, and then somebody else just goes and sits next to your base. So when you're coming in with all your loot, you get blowed up and you lose all your loot. How does that sound like a good thing? That sounds like a bad thing. So you go grind for loot, come back to your base, you're thinking, yay, all this loot I got. Oh, I'm dead. No. What? Maybe it's just me and I'm a pessimist or I hate everything or something, but I don't want this. If you're going to consistently make more stupid grindy currencies, I gotta go out there and grind this and grind this and mine this and mine that. Players already have a way to go get your ship and kill it there while you're in there grinding. But this makes it easier for them to take your loot. I mean, yeah, if you don't move your station much, then they always know where you live. So, but still, it just seems like this makes it much easier for them. And I just don't like it. Alright, back to how the loop works. Get Hoorogan relics, can get you some of these deuterium junks to fuel the active abilities. Yes, active ability. Use these fancy sensors to reveal species 8472. They start around this Velixis system and reward exotic biotoxins, which can then be refined into rewards and travel token for specific Delta Quadrant systems. These unique systems will have anomaly samples, which can be exchanged for Voyager ship parts, circuitry fragments, and the new, extremely powerful Isolytic artifacts. Wow. I'm zoomed in a little bit. Let's zoom in, zoom out. You can get a picture of this whole loop. Destroy Hoorogan hostiles to gain relics. Then exchange relics for deuterium. Use the active ability to see these new hostiles. Kill these new hostiles. Exchange biotoxins for Voyager tokens and commerce insignia. Travel to Voyager token space and collect anomaly samples. Exchange anomaly samples for artifacts, ship parts, and research dust. Wow. Oh, and yes, there are mining nodes. That's what I assume these anomaly samples, how you're getting them. So yes, there is new research for the Voyager 2 mine stuff. Yay. Alright. It does say here that Voyager has its own research tree. I guess that's how you depends on how you define research tree. It doesn't have its own little box. You know, like when you go to R&D department, you hit the little research tab. Then you have all the boxes there, right? Combat, station, starship, etc. It doesn't have its own one of those. You go to the starship box, and inside there, past the Titan, is where the Voyager research junk is. Alright, so let's click on this. Talk more about Voyager. This is just background information, storyline stuff about Voyager. How you add USS Voyager to your fleet. To acquire blueprints for USS Voyager, you need to reach operations level 30. Defeat Hirogen hostiles in Delta Quadrant, collect Hirogen relics, refine them in the Voyager refinery. Once you reach operations 34 and have gathered all of the blueprints, you can build the Voyager. I did not. Let me check the refinery and see if it's up there. Like, where exactly is this refinery? Yes. Okay. It is in your regular old refinery tab. For me, it is below my command center, which is below Mantis, so should be at the bottom of the list for you. I did catch DJ's podcast earlier today. Got some numbers. It looks like you can do one pull a day. So 100 blueprints, 100 days. Potentially, there is a way to acquire some more shards free this month. Potentially an event. There's none in the battle pass, but potentially an event or two, or a mission maybe will give you a few. And as always, if you do want to pay, you can, there's options to just buy it. Voyager enables acquire Isolytic damage artifacts, ship parts for various vessels, including Cerritos, Amalgam, G4 ships, and more. Not sure exactly what that means. Potentially other things in the refinery tab, because right now it's just Hirogen blueprint exchange. So maybe more ways to get amalgam parts or Cerrito parts. Yay, I don't give a shit. Abilities, yeah, talked about that. Yep, talked about that. Deuterium, cost, duration limits, cooldown also for both the abilities. Deuterium canisters can be found after refining Hirogen relics in Voyager refinery. Relics can be gotten from hostiles. Okay, got that already. To upgrade Voyager, you need to refine exotic biotoxins and anomaly samples. Forever materials need to be refined. Harnessing true powers. Okay, cool. Okay, exotic biotoxins can be acquired from species A472 bioships in the Lexus system, while anomaly samples can be mined from such systems as FSEP and bunch of numbers. And yes, these bioships from species A472, you need to activate the ability. Okay. Research. I guess the good thing about this is there is some benefit to you in other aspects of the game. It's not just Voyager research nodes. Which I think is pretty standard at this point. No more closed loops, right? One of the research is to allow below deck slots for presets. Meh. And a bonus roll of artifact rewards in the common and rare anomaly sample refinery. Dismantle tinkering, increase base scrapping speed for all ships. It's not that much. A few percent. I mean, it's not going to take a 10-day scrap down to 5 days. It's going to be like 10 days to 9.5 days. So, yay. Increase cost efficiency for repairing ships. Similar to the Prime they released a few months ago. It was like a 200% cost efficiency. This new research has 10 levels. At max, it is 200%. And as it was talked about then, it's not that much. Yes, okay, your ships are going to be cheaper, but not by a whole lot. Not anything that really, it's not by any amount that really does anything. Alright, go and get in a little bit about this isolytic damage and isolytic mitigation. Yes. Is similar to kinetic and energy shots. Similar. If you think kinetic and energy shots, that's the damage that you see in your battle log. Well, they get mitigated, right? Well, these old mitigated mitigation values, accuracy and accuracy is your piercing, shield deflection, dodge, armor. That's for energy and kinetic weapons, not isolytic weapons. So, if you want to mitigate isolytic damage from your opponent, whether it be a hostile or a player, you need isolytic mitigation. Because that's the thing with this isolytic. It's yes, the 80-20 rule for shields still apply, but normal mitigations don't affect isolytic damage. Brand new type that'll work alongside standard damage. Kinetic and energy, as I just said. Percentage of your damage will be isolytic after you do some of these researches and get some of these relics or artifacts. You don't get it. Like right now, before you do all this junk, everything's at 0. Unless you're in PvP and this other person that's attacking you has done all this isolytic stuff. Many ways to mitigate standard damage. Isolytic damage is unique in the fact that it will bypass all traditional means of mitigation and can only be stopped by... I just said that. Okay. Alright, here, give an example. Think standard mitigation as an arrow and isolytic damage as radiation. Your standard mitigation stats are like a shield that blocks the arrow, but that same shield cannot block the radiation all around you. To protect yourself against that, you need a radiation suit. I mean, I kind of like that, they took the time to think of a way to explain it to us in a simple way, so at least we understand the idea. We may not understand the math of it yet, but we understand what's going on. But oh my god, it's a lot and it's confusing. And holy shit. Whoo! You'll be You'll be able to unlock this new force multiplier in a variety of ways, such as new isolytic artifacts available this month. And this will be a permanent addition to the core strategy of Star Trek Fleet Command, starting with our Captain Janeway. We'll get to the officers in a bit. They've been working on this feature for some time. Creative possibilities that will start to bring in future releases. Additionally, we'll add a new layer of strategy and go. Same thing. All right, let's go click on this. Talk a little bit more. Here they're trying to explain the equation. I'm not great with math. It may look like it because I'm, videos with all these calculators and shit, but it is a percentage of your overall damage. So what I don't know yet, let's say your overall damage is 100. Saying a percentage is isolytic damage. So if I have 10% isolytic damage, am I doing 100 regular damage and then another 10 isolytic, or am I doing 90 and 10? Not 100% sure yet. It does sound like it will be 90 and 10. Considering all apply, but so it will, the math is supposed to work in the same way. You just need different stats, like isolytic damage and isolytic mitigation. There are officers, research, just like with normal. So it's not necessarily supposed to be so different. It's just another thing. The idea is to make isolytic damage formidable and long-lasting. Like as you progress throughout the game. It can be attained several ways. Artifacts, officers. Once you can inflict isolytic damage, it remains active under the same circumstances as any other buff. So like you'll do a research or a relic or whatever the hell it is, and it'll just be on. As of right now, there is no way to turn it off. Ripper did suggest that maybe that should be an option, to turn on or turn off isolytic damage going forward. Mr. Eco was open to that. Thought it was a very nice suggestion. We'll see. You can increase the percent of damage isolytic is. And again, that is what Ripper was alluding to. So, say you're fighting a player that has 50% damage, 50% isolytic mitigation. Well, I don't know if that's going to be high or not, but 50 sounds like a lot. So, do I want to turn off my isolytic damage? So then he potentially has less mitigation of my damage. Something to think about there. All right, enough about that. Not really enough of it is known. We'll, have to learn more this month. Delta Quadrant, new part of the Delta Quadrant. The map is just looking redonkulous. Gotta be a way to, find this shit on the map easier. It's not easy at all. There are going to be some Borg hostiles up there, supposedly. Have to find them. There are planetary missions as well. You go to systems, you see the planets around there. There's missions on the planet. That's what they mean by planetary missions. Be on the lookout for this one called Waste Management. It'll be in the think tank system. You're going to need that to unlock pathway for further exploration of the Delta Quadrant. Missions, loop, yeah. New officers, Captain Janeway. Captain ability, when you take hull damage, so again, you got to get hit first. Excuse me. The theme, this arc, you have to get hit first, and then abilities activate, which I'm not a huge fan of. But when you get hit from a non-player or armada, increase your shield mitigation by X%. 6% by herself, adds 7% for each person on a bridge. So technically, you could put Janeway as captain plus 2 of her synergy peoples, and all the damage goes to your shields. After you get hit, though. Interesting. Officer ability increases isolytic damage by X%. No numbers listed here. They did that for Mr. Paris and Mr. Kim. Not Captain Janeway. Don't understand why. I want to say it starts at 10% and maybe goes up by 10 each tier. Don't know. Tom Paris, Harry Kim, you can see that. You can also see officer ability, below deck ability, no captain ability. Yay. Another officer with no captain ability. I get that Janeway is the captain, but I want the option to have somebody else as the captain of my ship. I don't want just you release 10 officers for Voyager, or you've released, 5 so far? One captain ability. Stupid. When you take damage from a non-player, hostile, or armada, increase crit damage by X%. 5, 7, 10, 15, 25. This ability I kind of like, though it is a below deck ability, and I just complained about all these below deck abilities. At the start of combat. Yay for at the start of combat. Not have to get hit first. Tom Paris increases your armor, shield deflection, and dodge. Doesn't say anything about isolytic, so I'm assuming not isolytic. But your mitigation by 200, 250, 300, 400, and 500% of your officer defense. So think 5 of 11 captain ability at base that will get bigger as you tier up, but defense instead of health. How much do you like 5 of 11's captain ability? I like it. I think it's very useful. I think that below deck is going to be very useful, especially if it's going to increase with tier. Now, how do you source these officers? I haven't got a clue yet. But seems like a very nice below deck ability. Seem to be focusing on below deck abilities, but like no captain abilities. Okay. Harry Kim, increase all positive. I hate FKR. Sounds like an ex-president or something. Federation, Klingon, and Romulan rep gains by 5, 7, 10, 15, and 25%. Okay, I mean that's nice. I mean, you can get your mitigation officer below deck, so reputation officer above deck, so yeah, I mean it's it's very nice. And as I alluded to, with B'Elanna last month doing hull breach, I told you morale and burn can't be too far behind. Here you go. Here's morale right here. Why it's Harry Kim, I don't know. If you paid attention to the chats throughout the month, everybody was like, Neelix, below deck ability is activate morale. That just makes sense. Does that not make sense to anybody? He was the morale officer, and yes, it was a made-up position that Janeway just made up because to make Neelix feel good and useful and shit. but 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 this is Neelix. What the hell? You people doing this, you have to know nothing about Star Trek. You have to know less than I know. That's bad. I don't know a lot of Star Trek stuff. I've seen the shows and the movies. I don't really know this stuff. But I have enough knowledge to know that if I'm going to make a morale officer that has a below deck ability to activate said morale, and it's the Voyager arc, so I got Voyager characters to choose from, my first choice is Neelix. My second choice is Neelix. My third choice is Neelix. At no point in any number of these choices am I going to pick Harry Kim to activate morale below deck. You are dumb. Okay. Said I wasn't going to yell and scream and swear and all that stuff. So, all right, moving on. New missions. Yay, new missions. Is there even anything important in these missions? I don't know. Oh. Potentially what I did here on the podcast, and I read somewhere in here and I can't remember where. There will be a kind of explanation of the loop and how Isolytic Doojabob shit works within events / missions. So, potentially, when you're doing missions and you're doing events, maybe try to pay a little bit more attention, and there should be some information on the new loop and mechanic in there somewhere, supposedly. We shall see. Not sure why they put this in here again. Yes, it's a research in the Voyager section of research. And as we knew it was coming, Battleship Wrecking is a new prime. Yay. Battle Pass. Yay, frame. That's what I really want as an avatar. I want Harry Kim playing the clarinet. Okay. Maybe I just don't like pictures and frames. I just think it's kind of dumb. Hailing frequency, an epic one. Janeway drinking coffee. Okay. Some bug fixes, blase. I don't really give a shit. Alright. The video is long enough. I'm not excited at all for this. I think some of that has to do with their complete silence on what is coming up. There's no information on what, before launch day. There's no information. There's no explanation. There's no hype. Hey, this is going to be great. Check this out. It's coming out this time. There's nothing. So for me, when I come into these new releases, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I barely care. Instead of being up here, super hyped, I'm like, And then you read this stuff and you don't like it, and it's just like, it's just a me thing, I guess. All right, yeah, I said too long. Comment below. What are you thinking is going to be happening this month? I'm thinking it's not going to go that well, but could be pleasantly surprised. Be sure to like and subscribe. I am the Angry Rhino. Shields up, Commanders. Yeah, totally forgot because it wasn't in the patch notes. Did get this from DJ's chat. Some people were posting screenshots already and talking about it. There is a free-to-play path, and I want to see if I can find it in the game. I don't know if you need to have Voyager up or not. Yes, okay. In the little, what is this stuff? Field training. The little field training tab next to your daily goals has a new Voyager selected tab on it. In this, you will see ways to, does it even tell you how many? 400, 400, and 400. There are ways to get dolomite particles, prime dolomite particles, 1,200 in total, by doing little field training type missions with surrounding this Voyager loop. So, yes, free to play mechanic, if you will, for a few dolomite shards. Okay. Goodbye again.